Rosecrans Vic podcast. I'm Rosecrans Vic, and I'm here with the homie,
Yes,
the A&R extraordinaire, Empire's very own, the guy who signed me, Jentry Salvatore. What's up,
My
guy?
guy, how are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm blessed. You know.
Yes, sir.
How are you? You got a promotion recently.
Yes, sir.
What's the new title? What's the new title?
VP of A&R and Creative Development.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you started as what at Empire? What was
So
your
I
initial
actually
role?
started at Empire when we really didn't have titles.
Yeah.
Like there was a time when there was like I think I came in somewhere around like 60-ish employees, and a majority of us were just PMs or which stands for product
manager,
managers,
yeah.
or there was a few A&R consultants, but there was no like rankings of like coordinator,
Yeah.
product manager, senior product manager. Like it was
Yeah,
just,
the
we
hierarchy
all,
kind of wasn't like
it
figured
wasn't
out all
there.
the way. It was like
it was just gang.
yeah,
It was just like
we're in this together.
We're in this together. And to me, it was like the best thing in the world. And I encourage people to do that because
Yeah,
it's like I learned everything, bro.
yeah,
Everything from like how to ingest a record with production to marketing, digital, outdoor, A&R. It was like, jack of all trades. And then, as Ghazi built the company out, it's over 200 employees now.
Wow.
There came the hierarchy and titles and
Yeah.
broke everything out, accordingly.
yeah. But you climbed up the ranks.
Yeah, fortunate enough to make it. Shout out to you, Ghazi. Appreciate you, man.
A lot of the success has been, it's been long standing. Like we'll get into that later. But like right now, 310Babii, it's the hottest shit in the world, and that's not even an exaggeration. Like, just tell me about, finding him and that whole process and how that happened.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think this has ever been told,
Yeah.
but exclusive. So the truth is, Mike Crook told me about 310.
Ah, okay.
Him and I. So I had recently did a song deal with him at the label, and both of us were just having that. And I'm sure you've had the conversation with your homies about like the current state of what's going on,
Yeah.
and like what you would like to do.
Yep.
And him and I were having that conversation. And it was basically something to the effect of me telling him, like, why don't you find an artist, you produce him? I want to start my own label. I'll fund it. Let's do it together.
Nice.
And his response was like very nonchalant, like, man, there's nobody out here. There's this one kid named 310. He's going to go up, but like, I don't know. Like it was just that like,
Yeah.
and I don't think even at that time in that specific moment, I like dug in.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't trying to like sell me on it.
Yeah.
So I let it go. And then I'll never forget, it was like the next day, I like really dug in and I heard Soak City.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it's a cool song.
Yeah.
But it was only doing like 1,000 streams a day.
Yeah.
He only had like 1,100 followers.
Yeah.
I think it had like 2,000 or 3,000 creates. So it's still like super early, but I reached out to him. I felt like it was worth a conversation. And when I spoke to him, that's when I was like, oh, there's like a real story. Like he fills this void.
Yeah.
And it was someone that, I felt like I could build a company around, and like we haven't looked back since.
Wow. So even tell me that, like the idea behind that, because it's like, that's genius. You're already at a label, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're at Empire. You work there. It's like, in a way, day job, 9 to 5. But then you're like, I want to start my own label and then get a deal with either this label or other labels.
Yeah.
Right?
So the thought process behind it was that, you can make ends meet working your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But in order to create real generational wealth, you have to have some type of ownership.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, 9 times out of 10, you got to put up your own money.
Yeah.
And so, without going too deep in like specifics, I had a conversation with Ghazi, with Nima, with Tina, Peter, everybody, and was like, I feel like this is the next step in my career.
Yeah. And that's dope that you were upfront with them. Like, look, this is what I'm doing, being transparent.
Yeah, I mean, and the conversation was like, look, I'm not leaving.
Of course.
And like the goal isn't to like find an artist and dip. What I mean, and go somewhere else. The goal is to still take care of all my responsibilities.
Yeah.
Still go above and beyond with what you need me for here. But just in the next phase of my career and being able to establish some type of ownership and something to, further my... Because people don't... I mean, some people do now, but I'm not sure everybody know Ghazi's full story when he started at In Grooves.
Yeah.
And then, he'll tell you if they would have given him what he would have asked for, he would have probably stayed at In Grooves and built what he wanted to do off of that.
Yeah.
But because they didn't, he felt like, okay, let me go start something on my own.
Yeah.
So with respect to me, it was like, Ghazi, I want to stay. And I think that kind of played a part. And he was like, okay, well, let's just do it here. So you don't have to go nowhere else. But it was still super early. Like, I remember playing them 310 and then being like, cool, like, if you believe it, go for it.
Yeah, that's such a, like, I trust you, but I don't know who the fuck that guy is.
Right, yeah. They were like, go knock yourself out. And, like, yeah, it worked, bro.
Yeah.
It worked.
That's crazy. So I remember seeing 310Babii. So I actually had a conversation with Lo the Great, and it was kind of similar to like your and Mike Crooks, like just throwing names around, like, yo, so who's popping right now? Like, LA's kind of like falling flat, like us having a conversation. And then he was like, oh, there's a couple people, named a couple names. And then he was like, there's 310Babii, Soak City, that's going crazy. He's like, but that's like, mostly the kids are into it right now. And then so like I just took a mental note of everybody he was saying. I'm like, okay, well, who's this? Check him out. Heard the song. I'm like, oh, this is catchy.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, this is fire. And then I go to his profile and Gentry is already managing him. I'm like, this is why he's great. Like, it was already like shit was already in motion. I don't know if the video had dropped already or maybe it was about to drop or something. But it was like early on. I hit you.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you got something, because I heard that and I've always been able to like. I heard Soak City and I'm like, it's dope. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Personally, because I'm a 30-year-old man, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, oh, the kids are going to love this shit, you know? And I know it's going to get big. So and then I started listening to his other shit. I'm like, let me find some album cuts, that I might like personally. And I hear like Awful Lot. And I'm like, that's fire. I hear his other shit. And I'm like, bro can rap. Like, bro can rap. He's rapping on like Detroit type beats. And I'm like, he's not just focused on the West Coast shit. This kid can go far. And then I'm like, okay. And I like his voice. He sounds like a grown man. It's like, I don't want to listen to kids bop.
But see, that's why I have so much respect for you.
Yeah.
Because at that time when we dropped the video and we just went up, so many people reached out just about Soak City. But I'll never forget the first conversation we had, and you said the same thing. Like, maybe Soak City isn't for me, but you were like, Locked In, Risk, Awful Lot. You were like, and I'm like, oh, that's the tape that like people have yet to discover. At
Lottery
that time,
Pick.
Lottery Pick. People weren't on Lottery Pick yet. They were just discovering Soak City.
Yeah.
But to me, that's what makes you who you are, because you dug. You know what I mean? And then, from then you were supporting, and it was just dope to have you in our corner.
And it's been dope to just watch it like wildfire. Like, it was like from that conversation, maybe a week or two later, it just started to go crazy.
Yeah.
And, he's obviously been, across the U.S. He hasn't. Have you guys gone out the country yet or not yet?
Not yet. So I think the first time we're going out the country, he's booked on Rolling Loud Thailand.
Oh, shit. That's
Rolling
fire.
Loud in Europe.
Fire.
So like that, and then we'll build like his international runs.
Yeah.
The Rolling Louds. Yeah.
That's dope as fuck. But shit, all right. I want to go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So why is Gentry in the music industry to begin with? Like, where the start? Where's the whole start of that?
So I mean, in a nutshell, my mission to be in this industry is to be the person that I needed in my life when I wanted to do music. Because coming up, that's what I originally wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, I fell in love with music. And
back in the Ambition days.
Early on, like super early on. And I just didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a team, there was no resources. I'm from Riverside.
Yeah.
A lot of people know me for breaking all of these LA artists, but that's where I'm from. You know what I mean? So it was like...
It's even harder coming from out there.
Yeah. I mean, there's the whole IE, LA debate. You know what I'm saying? So it started with me getting close with a radio personality. Her name was Diana Weeby.
Okay. Right?
And so from there, I would like put her on like, yo, you heard this guy named Problem? Like, he has this fire record called Turned Up.
So you were just like a A&R of the streets in a way. Like, you're just like, you hearing shit, you're like outside, you're like, hey, this shit is popping right now.
And I'm taking it to her though at KGGI. Like, yo, there's this guy named Joe Moses that has a song, Do It for the Ratchets. There's a song named Ty Dolla $ign. He has a guy named Ty. He has a song called All Star.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know about All Star like, early when it got pulled because the sample. Like,
I'm an All-Star.
Or there's this guy named Genesis before his OT who has a song called Jackie Chan.
Oh, I remember that
like,
song.
I was putting her on all of that.
Jackie Chan. Stunt, Jackie Chan. Yep.
And then, you know, T Mills, he was coming out of Riverside, like that whole early wave.
Yeah.
And then she would reach out and bring them
through
to Riverside, to KGGI to do the schools, do the clubs and all that. From there, I met Steve Lobel.
Okay.
And through, you know, I was one of those guys that always studied everybody in the game. So it was like, I looked up to Jimmy Iovine. I looked up to like Kevin Black, Steve Lobel.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the guys that were doing it. And I randomly just ran across him at a dub car show.
Wow.
Remember when those used to be like,
yeah, that was the
lit.
shit. Yeah.
And at the time, he was going up. He had just got like Nip, and then, you know, he had Bone. Kingston was on fire. Man was on fire.
Yeah.
IS was on fire.
Yeah.
And I just basically, in a nutshell, told him, like, bro, I want to get in this game, and I want to do what you're doing, and I'll do anything. So, like, I started out recording, like, being his BTS guy, doing whatever, driving, anything. Yeah, anything. Really, anything.
Yeah,
I was
need
doing
extra
anything.
hand, I'm there. Yeah.
To where eventually he trusted me and just moved me in and was just like, come learn. And I remember just, you know, growing those 2 years into becoming his right hand until I eventually, you know, just respectfully wanted to start my own thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then starting your own thing is what? Is that when you start to work with Skeme or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, crazy story is I got cool with Problem.
Yeah.
And Problem had dropped a song called T.O.
T.O. I remember this. That's funny because I'm just like going back in my life. I was just a spectator at this point, but I was always paying super close attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget hearing that voice come on.
Yeah.
And being like, who is this?
Yeah.
Like, it was this like lyrical, almost like the texture of it was like Trick Daddy, but he could rap and have melody. It was like something I had never heard of.
Yeah.
And I had the wants of wanting to do my own thing, and I knew I would have to discover a new artist.
Yeah.
And Steve went to go meet with Nip. And Nip walked out of the studio with like 20 guys behind him. Yeah. And like one of the guys that was behind, like, as you know, we were introducing ourselves, whatever, to the people that I didn't know or Steve didn't know. Yeah. Him and Steve, Nip and Steve went off to talk. Yeah. And then there was just this dude smoking a cigarette next to me. And we just, you know, started talking. Yeah. And he was, and I don't know if I asked him his name or vice versa, but oh no, I introduced myself. I was like, yo, I'm Gentry, and he was like, Duke.
Okay.
And when he said that, I was like, yo, you're Skeme? Like, I had fed out for he was like, yeah. And I was like, yo, and I was like, started talking about like pistols and palm trees and like everything that run he was doing. Yeah. Because
he was going crazy. I remember that period of time. I think I ran into him outside of a Dom Kennedy show at the Key Club back then. So like he performed, I think, and he was just outside, like just being him. He was just a cool guy. Like he was just like outside, Diamond head to toe. I remember Diamond was like big, you know, in that. And and I was just and I was just like, damn, like I was a fan too. Like I had just, you know, pistols and palm trees and all that shit. So you meet him after the pistols and palm trees.
I met him after. I met him like right, like I heard T.O. and then it wasn't long after I had met him.
Okay.
And then
he was with Nip.
He was running with Nip.
Wow.
Yeah, he was running with Nip. He was in a studio. There used to be a studio with like 6 rooms, and like Nip had a room, Futuristics had a room, Dom had a room, DJ Quick had a room. Yeah. That's where like a lot of like them records at that time were coming out of.
That's crazy. What studio was that?
It was Ali T-Fly's manager. Yeah. It was like it was like a studio house.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay.
And Skeme has just always been like a studio like lab rat. Like, you know, he's a genius when it comes to that. And yeah, that's when we met. We built a super cool relationship. I met Sire, met Wayne, everybody that was running with them at that time. Because they had been with them since like
already,
day one. Yeah. And then bro, I'll never forget, we were at his baby shower. And it's like crazy at the time. Like to like at the time it seemed normal, but thinking back, he had like Cali Swag District and like Iggy and like Dom and Nip and like all these people at his baby shower. Yeah. And I'll never forget, we were just talking outside and he was just telling me, I won't say the label, but like a different label is just gonna give him like a certain amount of money. And I was just like, bro, like I want to start my own label, and I think I like tripled it. Yeah. And I was just like, let's just do this together. And he was like, all right. And that was just the start of our relationship.
Wow.
It was from that day, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that is before Ingleworld. There's no, or Ingleworld was out
So,
already or no?
No, so right after him and I did our deal, we put out Bear With Me with
Okay.
DJ Ski, which
Okay.
was a tape, and
Yeah.
DJ Bass.
Yeah.
That was a tape. And then we put out Ingleworld, the first one.
The first one.
Yeah, and that one went crazy.
And that one went crazy. That one had was that the one with Chris Brown? It had
That was Ingleworld 3.
3. Okay, I'm jumping ahead.
So this one had like Iggy, Dom, Wale, like Boy Wonder production.
Yeah.
Remember K Rose?
Okay, yeah, I
He
do
was
that. I
on
remember
there.
that.
He was
Yeah.
on fire.
Ingleworld 2, I think, was my favorite. That's the one that had Young Thug,
That was the Gangsta Grills.
the Lil Uzi. It
Uzi.
had Pee Wee Longway on it.
Bro, Skeme was a legend for that.
Yeah.
People don't know he was like early on all of
He
that.
was my introduction to Young Thug.
Yeah.
Like that's the first time I ever heard Young Thug.
Bro, I'll never forget. We were on the road and he played Stoner like 40 times.
Yeah.
Like to the
Yeah.
point to where you had to know the word. Like
Yeah.
he just kept running it back and running it back and running it back. Same thing with Uzi. Like
Yeah.
a lot of like those guys. He was earlier. He went to Atlanta. He was cool with Generation Now and
Yeah.
you know.
And were you a part of the Fancy record?
Yeah.
Like you were around during that time.
Yep.
Tell me
Yeah.
about that, like whole him writing the song and then just it going. Was it like #1 ever in the world?
in the world. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
tell me about that.
So I think at the time we weren't supposed to talk about it. I think it's like
Yeah.
so old.
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
you know, it's
yeah.
like 10 years later.
Yeah.
The truth is that we leaked Fancy. It wasn't called
Oh.
Fancy. The original version of Fancy was called Leave It.
Wow.
If you go to YouTube and you type in Iggy Azalea Leave It,
Yeah.
that was the first version.
Wow.
So we had leaked it for various reasons. And her label had been trying to get like Power and a lot of big stations on it.
Yeah.
On just other records, and they hadn't supported. And I remember we leaked the record and it was on like Power that same day.
Yeah.
Like Felly was Knew It Too. Remember when Knew It Too? And
Yes,
Yessie
it was the
like
shit.
It. Like,
Yeah.
It was like, if you're on the Knew It Too,
Yeah.
you made it.
Yep.
And I remember him blasting off and like we didn't know what it meant because we leaked the record.
Yeah.
And then the label scrambled, put Charlie XCX on it, called it Fancy, and then
Oh.
resurfaced it, shot the video and then
Shot
put
the
it
video
out.
and then put it out.
The original version leans a lot more like club.
I
It leans
see.
a lot more like club, urban,
Yeah.
standing on the couches. Like that was the vibe.
Yeah.
And then they just like skewed it more. It was like more polished, more pop-ish.
For sure.
But still had like that bass line and them drums.
Exactly.
Shout out to Sean. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was also confusion because everybody thought Mustard produced it.
So that was part of us leaving it. It was like I recently told Mustard this a few months ago when I was in the studio with him. He
What
was
is it?
tripping because they didn't know who had
Yeah,
done it. You
yeah.
know what I mean? But at the time, it's like, yeah, bro. It's just like you just had to do what you had to do. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That shit was the hottest shit in the world.
Yeah, you know. So we had like created this fake email and
Yeah.
we said Mustard did it and we said there was a remix coming with YG.
That's
Like
crazy.
we just because at the time you gotta remember like Skeme was the hottest thing on all the blogs.
Yes.
So we had like the Two Dope Boys
Mhm.
and the Complexes and like
They were
we had, like,
posting everything that he did.
we had all their emails.
Yeah.
So we just like we weren't publicists or nothing like
Of
that.
course,
But we were just
yeah.
like we're just gonna load up all the emails and send it to them and see what happens. And
Yeah.
it just like it popped.
So that's
bro.
what obviously it was a great record. But yeah, a lot of people were like, man, DJ Mustard with another hit. And then he's like, what the fuck? I didn't do this shit.
Yeah.
Who the fuck did that? And it was like, it was a guy from England or something that actually did
So
the beat?
Sean Momberger.
Okay. Oh, Sean Monberger, yeah.
So it's crazy because he had like the #1 record for Forever with Jack Harlow recently.
Oh, yeah.
Same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he programmed it, and then I think if I'm
I
not
remember he was
mistaken-
all over Scheme's projects.
Yeah,
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 he
that
was-
was like
yeah.
his guy.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened, and I believe like the Invisible Men touched it, but yeah, that was Sean who had
Who
programmed
put it, yeah.
everything and
So
then gave it to
all
him.
that goes crazy. That
Yeah.
song goes #1, but then you guys are having success, but can't really talk about it at the same time. Not then you guys
Yeah.
signed like an NDA or something, or like
yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, he eventually came out and
Yeah,
talked about
I
it in
s-
some interviews.
yeah. So you guys are like quietly celebrating success because you can't really publicly too much, right?
Yeah,
What was
I
that
mean,
like?
at the time, you don't really know what it means.
Yeah.
Like, it was so early. Like, bro, we were like 24, 25 years old.
Yeah.
All of us were brand, like me, Skeme, Sire, Wayne,
Yeah.
Sean. Everybody that was involved in that conversation was young. Like, we didn't even know how to get plaques.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't get our plaques till a few years ago. Me and Sire was like, yo, we need plaques for all of these records. Like 30 million sold. Like,
wow.
Shout out to Sire. Like, you know, like we didn't know any of like things now that seem so just like duh. Like, like at the time we didn't know anything. So I mean, that was exciting, definitely, but speaking for myself, what meant more to me was seeing how he kind of had the culture in a headlock, because at that time a tape didn't come out of LA without him on it. Like, he was on every single
It was
tape.
mandatory. It wasn't done until Skeme was on.
Nipsey, Crenshaw, he was on Mustard's tape. He was on, you know, Problem, Dom, Kendrick was tweeting about him, Wale, Drama, Snoop, E40.
He had everybody's ear. It was like Skeme.
Like they had flown us out for the Wale, J. Cole. Like, it was like, that's what probably I was the most proud. Like, the writing stuff was cool, but to see him get the respect that he deserved and the appreciation at that time was super dope for me to see.
And then he starts getting tapped for other like ghostwriting and stuff like that. After that, people start to like, yo, this guy is a genius. You know, he already has number one. And his career starts to kind of get it. Does he go behind the scenes intentionally, or is it like, what happens at that point? Because he was at his peak,
from
I
like
think
2013 to like 2015, 16. I mean, he had probably wrote on 30 million sold and like 5 Grammy nominations. You know what I'm saying? So he was definitely in his bag.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was just around that time he, you know, just we went our separate ways and he just made his own decisions of what he chose to do, which did include some writing and still put out some record. Like, the last project we put out was Inglewood 3.
Inglewood 3.
So we had
that had
36 ounces.
36 ounces, which was incredible. And that was all over the radio.
Yeah, shout out to E-Man. Changed our life with that. I tell him all, like, E-Man's like, when I see him, it's like regular to him.
Yeah.
But I'm like, bro, you've changed my life on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
And like, to him, it's just like, no, like, I'm just
it's a hot record,
But I'm like, bro, you've changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, significantly when you do stuff like that. We did Cali Christmas.
Yeah.
Because Skeme had his own set, and then Chris Brown brought him out. Like, bro, that was at the Forum in Inglewood. Like, that was a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In
that was
his hometown. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So the Skeme chapter closes, but I actually first came across you and first met you because of Joe Moses.
Yep. So I was right after that.
Joe Moses had a concert. It was a joint headlining with Nip.
Yeah.
Which was crazy.
Yeah. I don't think people really understand, like, why that's so crazy.
Yes.
You know
yeah. Obviously, their neighborhoods are close to each other, historically rivals.
Yeah.
But they were both super fucking hot at the time, right? And, you know, JM is a man of, like, respect. So is Nip. And the fact that they were able to make that happen, even at the time, too, I was like, why? I wasn't too tapped in, like, as much as I know now about, like, just the whole, like, gang shit and all that. But I was just like, something told me, like, why are they doing it together? Like, is that cool? Like, but I'm like, whatever. I want to go, right? And I had just started my career as a journalist. I'm still working at, like, a auto finance company. And I get off. I had a couple days before I had to hit up Rosalind, R.I.P.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yes. I had gotten connected with her through my homegirl, and I was like, hey, I want to write about this concert. But really, like, I really wanted to go, you know what I'm saying? And I wanted to cover it and see if I could interview some people. I knew that AZ Sway was coming out. It was just like, you had to be there. That was like what to do in.
Oh, Sway. Yeah, Ride on My Glock.
Yeah, Ride on My Glock. It was the peak of that, and I was covering him heavy. So I'm like, I need to be there. Found my way in there. And I changed in the car from, like, my corporate shit to, like, just, you know, to more chill shit. I go inside, and I'm backstage. I'm the first one there. Because it's at the observatory, and I worked in Irvine. I'm just, like, waiting. I'm like, this is my first time in a green room. Like, and then one of the first people I meet is Flip. Flip comes in, super cool.
We're talking about everybody right
yes.
now. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
I meet Flip, and he's just hella cool. What's up, bro? Da, da, da. Just super welcoming. And I'm just, like, so nervous. I'm like, I don't know how to even act in a green room, bro. Like, and then people start to trickle in and stuff like that. And then I'm like, I'm in there, all the snacks are there, all the water. I'm like, is this for me? Am I supposed to touch it? Am I not? Like, am I gonna get yelled at if I fucking drink some water that's not mine? And fast forward, eventually I get to, I was talking to you, and then I was like, yo, can I please, interview Joe? And something happened. I went outside to like some bullshit. I went to like say what's up to my homie. The guy ripped my wristband. I couldn't get back in. You remember?
And then I'm like, yo, I just had Joe. Like, what are you doing? Like,
yo, Gentry yelled at me. He was mad as fuck, and he didn't know me at all. I didn't know him, and I'm just like, what? Like, this is my introduction, damn near, to the music industry as a journalist. And I'm calling him. I'm like, yo, guy that you just met, like, you don't know me at all, but like, you need to save me because they won't let me back in. And I had to, and I'm trying to tell the big ass Samoan security, like, bro, I'm supposed to interview Joe Moses. He's like, who gives a fuck? Like, and I'm like, God damn. And I'm like, Gentry, yo, bro, can you please let me in? And then you were like, come up, like, you were so mad. You were like, I'm with my artist. It's fucking sold out show. Like, why the fuck do I gotta deal with this fucking guy? But you did it. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's so funny that was the beginning of our relationship. Like, you could have just been like, fuck you. And I would have remembered that, but I wouldn't have been mad.
Like the biggest thing. Right?
I wouldn't have been like, I would have understood as time went on, but I would be like, that guy was a dick. And you kind of were, but you still helped me out. But I understand now because I would probably act the same way. It's like, bro, some important ass shit going on. You're over here losing wristbands. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing you a favor. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So look, let's like, for the people, let's explain why it was so tense. So like you said, their neighborhoods. Yeah. Joe got on because Nip was doing the observatory. Joe wanted to do the observatory, but like, the conversation you have with every artist is like, yo, it's this amount of tickets. Like, could we do this amount of tickets by ourselves?
The big room.
The big room. So the convo was like, well, why don't we get on this show? Like, so I remember calling Jeff. The ticket sales were like cool at the time. They were nothing crazy. And it's like, what if we put them together first time? Yeah. And, there was conversations because of their neighborhoods, but Joe and Nip talked, and, Nip was basically like, I'm going to talk to my people. You talk to your people. It's going to be cool. Yeah. But even though that conversation happened, it wasn't like it wasn't tense. Like, exactly. It was still tense,
the green rooms were like across from each other, and it was just like,
so it was good. Like, shout out to Adam. Like, I was there early. Adam was there early. Like, we had a convo. There was no like nothing happened. There was no problems. But it was still like,
still high alert. I can't leave my artist for half a second to come deal with your ass. Like,
and then it's like, I forgot Sway was there. Yeah. So, like, getting him in. Yep. And then, like, rest in peace, Official. Yeah. So, I'm like, shout out to Crash. We're, like, dealing with all these moving. And then Rosalind's like, yo, like, you got to get my guy and do this interview. And I'm like, cool. And then you lose the wristband. And I'm like, bro, like, what? Like, if you would have just stayed.
Yes, if I would have just stayed in my lane. And I went outside to go say what's up to a homie. Like, I'm just like, what? In retrospect, like, what the fuck am I doing? Right? Like, but I'm just like, oh, I got a wristband. I got all access. Yeah. And the Samoan security guard wasn't fucking with it. You know what I'm saying? And he ripped my wristband. I still don't know why he did it. He was being a dick. But, yeah, and I had to call you to save me, and you did, but you were mad about it, you know what I'm saying? But, look what happened years later.
Bro, I'm just always like, and I'm sure, like, I apologize to anybody if there's anybody out there that I haven't given you the interview or artist or whatever, but I just know how it feels to, like, want to pursue your passion so bad, bro, and just not know where to start. And, I mean, even though you were new, it's like, bro, if I could plug that. Yeah. Because at the time, Joe was like, I think he just dropped From Nothing to Something. We had a record with French, a record with Chris Brown. Like, he was going up. And it was like, if I could help somebody, why not? That doesn't mean I wasn't upset. I was still mad and stressed. No, even now, if you see me at shows, I'm stressed. Like, like, it was funny. Irene, recently, we were at a show, and not Callie, Edgar. Yeah. He had done some stupid left outside, and Irene was like, you were the last person I didn't want to call you, and I was just like, it's fine, like, come get you. Like, shout out Max.
Here comes Gentry to save the day again. So that happened. I was like, that was like the biggest night of my life at the time, because I was like, bro, I interviewed Joe Moses. Like, he's a big deal, but even a bigger deal in, what was this, 2015 maybe?
Yeah, it was on fire.
And I remember he posted a picture where like my hand is sticking out with the iPhone interview, and I was like, bro, I made it. I made it. I'm on Joe Moses' Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
Feels, yeah.
And you know, it's just funny to look back at those moments, because even when I lost the wristband, I'm like, oh, my career's over. Like, it's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, to just like you said, just keep pursuing your passion. Like, just fuck all the obstacles and making shit happen. You know, but yeah, shout out to you for saving the day.
It's all good, man.
So, all right, so that happens.
Yeah.
With Joe Moses for a little bit, and you're tapping into, you know, the newer LA scene. I know, like I said, Sway was around at the time, and you know, just a lot of new artists started emerging. That's like my generation, the artists that I started covering heavy. You know, so we keep crossing paths, and stuff like that. And then at that point, was this like 2016? Who do you start working at Empire? Is this what like, when is this? Like, after Joe Moses?
I mean, bro, there was a time between working with Joe and like just helping local artists and doing some consulting and whatnot.
Yeah.
Between that and then working with John Hart.
John Hart.
Yeah, we
Okay,
kind of go record together.
Yeah.
But in between that, I didn't know if I still wanted to do music.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just, the situation with coming from my past, it was just like, I feel like if you don't have your head on straight or you don't have anybody to mentor you, you're, instead of trying to create something new, you're trying to replicate the past. And, you know, coming off of what we came off of, like I said, like 30 million sold.
Yeah.
And still not having the full, complete, like, knowledge.
Yeah.
Or the finances from a move like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like, man, do I still want to do this?
Yeah, because you've seen the top of the top, like, you've seen the success, and then you're like, years later, like, wait, what do I have to show for it? What's going on? You know, did I do this right? Did I mess up my opportunity? Was that my only one shot?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of doubt that comes with it. You go through a lot of emotions. I actually went back to college.
Wow.
I still did music.
Yeah.
Like, I've been blessed my whole life. Up until Empire, I never had like a job.
Wow.
Like, music was always able to pay my bills. I always
That's fire.
manage different artists.
Yeah. You had some type of motion going.
Yeah, with music, always. Went back to college, and in between me going to college, working with John Hart, I started at Empire March 2019. So this marks my 5 years. 50th anniversary at Empire.
March 2019. So yeah, so okay, so
2019, yeah. So it's like I was with like John Hart, I think like 17, 18-ish, 19, going into 19.
And he was booming.
Yeah,
he had Who Booty
was going crazy.
Yeah.
Whistle with Jewels was going crazy. He had
Yep.
that record with Dej Loaf. Like,
Yeah.
he was definitely going up, going over. We were going overseas for like weeks at a time.
Oh yeah, I heard he's big out there, right?
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
In Germany and places like that, Italy. So we were going crazy. But I was still going to school.
Wow.
Because I was like, maybe this is like my transition to get out. And then so kind of to rewind, when we talk about Skeme was signed to me, that was my production company. But something that I think is dope, but we should talk about, is like, at the time, Ghazi was a distributor. Empire was a distributor.
Yeah.
So like, fun fact, at the time, so remember, this was when like Dat Piff was everything.
Yeah.
SoundCloud was everything. Like, Two Dope Boys, like, that's where you had to get your music. None of us knew how to get our music on iTunes.
Yeah.
Like, that was a thing.
That was
bro.
hard. Like, wow, you got your music on iTunes?
Like, how'd you? And then to get on the iTunes charts,
you could
was
buy
like,
you could buy a song, like, yeah.
bro, that was a thing. So I'll never forget when they reached out. They had offered us $15,000, 15,
Yeah.
To distribute the record. And I'll never forget calling Skeme and being like, yo, I found a way, like, we could put our music on iTunes. Like,
Yeah.
this company called Empire. And they're going to give us $15,000. Like,
Yeah.
Like, we're like, what? Yeah, like, dude, do the deal.
Yeah. That's
and so we did it.
To distribute what album?
Inglewood.
Inglewood, the first
Yeah,
one.
to distribute Inglewood. And at the time, I found out recently, that was like the most money at that time anyone had ever, Empire had ever given anybody.
Wow.
Like, at that time, like, $15K was a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I remember speaking to Nima, and he was just like, bro, that was a lot of money to us.
Yeah, like,
at that time, it was early,
like, they took
bro.
a big bet on Skeme.
Skeme. Yeah. And so, anyways, the point of me telling that story is because from that time, first of all, through meeting Ghazi and Nima, I knew that they were special. What they were doing was special, and they were guys that I would want to be like,
Yeah.
learn from, work with.
Yeah.
Whatever that, how you want to fill in that blank is what I wanted
Yeah.
with them. And from that moment, any project I had, any artist I had, I would give it to Nima or guys. I would just hit them. Yo, I got this. Cool. Here's the deal. Yo, I got this. Here's the deal. I never had a reason to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've had a ton of wins. We had a few losses. But I stayed with them from 2013 when I seen like artists peel off, people peel off, like whatever the case may be. I wasn't an employee.
Yeah.
But I had been doing deals with them from 13 up until 18. Even with John Hart, he was somewhere else at the time.
Yeah.
And I told him if he wanted me to rock with him, we got to go back to Empire. So it was like he left that situation to come back to Empire. We made things right. And then I think it was like around that, like 18. It was like 18 going into 19 was when Ghazi was just like let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do this together. Yeah. And then I was officially like an employee of the label.
Wow. That's crazy. So it was like you already had a working relationship with them for years.
Yeah, we had built trust. Like I've never had those experiences that people have with labels with them. Those traditional like feelings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been love. It's always been like an educational experience. Like it's always been, you know, a conversation that we've been able to figure anything out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which has been super dope. Like, I don't know how it feels to not be able to talk to them.
Yeah.
Like anything that's happened, even up until now in our relationship, it's always been a conversation.
Yeah. And that's the thing I've seen about Ghazi. So down to earth. You know, obviously Nima too. Like, this is like, you could literally run into them at a party, Empire brunch, whatever it is. They'll give you 5 minutes of time.
Yeah.
For no reason. Just, oh, what's up, bro? How you been? Everything good? You know, and it feels genuine. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I have a world of respect for them, as well as like the other executives at Empire, like Tina and Peter and Harrison, Eamon, Stacy. Like the respect that I have for them, bro, like, and not even what they achieve, but who they are as people.
Yeah.
Like there's things that obviously I can't talk about, but like I've seen Ghazi's heart and Nima's heart and the opportunities they've give. Like, bro, even with us, bro, like I'll never forget being in there, and it was like, you know, at Empire, they didn't catch like the Shoreline, Blueface, Roddy, like that wave, like they were all other places.
Yeah.
But it was like right when I had came in, your name was like sizzling.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget being in the A&R and Nima being like, Rosecrans Vic, go get him. I was like, Vic? like okay, like if that's what like we're doing, like that's the homie, but like cause you were just like so tapped into the culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that, I mean, the opportunities that those guys have given to executives like us, artists, producers, contractors, anybody, I mean, bro, like thousands and thousands and thousands of people feed their family because Ghazi had this artist-friendly vision of being able to have, you know, this digital distribution and transparency and actually pay people what they're worth and like give people ownership and all of these amazing things that he had thought up of well over 10 years ago. Yeah. And then built this monster with Empire now from a distribution company to, in my opinion, the best label in the world. Yeah.
And also, it's like you said earlier, him creating what he always wanted for himself, because he was an artist as well, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like having that like vision of like, man, I wish somebody would just not try to fuck over artists or just do this or market this way or actually be from the culture. And it's like he's, you know, you can clearly say like he's completely executed that idea, and everything now is just, you know, scaling it and to get bigger. And I mean, it feels like there's, you know, 4 major labels now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, in my opinion, but it like, I think we got to really talk about, he made it the norm of what's going on now. He created that. Like now it's so easy. For example, like 310, when you talk to him, he put out his music through DistroKid. Yeah. Like DistroKid, TuneCore, some of these other distribution services. It's normal to be able to put your record out, see how much you're making, and get paid every month. Yeah. But like at the time, that wasn't normal.
It wasn't normal.
Like Ghazi created that model, which then everybody tried to replicate.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's been done to the extent of what he's created. Because at the time, again, like for the digital distribution, and then to be able to pay people every 30 days was like a huge thing.
I bet.
You know what I'm saying? And so then now that it's norm, like you said, like he's taken it all the way up to being the 4th biggest label in the game in such a very short, like Empire in a lot of ways is still a child in terms of like years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like probably going on like 12, 13 years, give or take.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to have accomplished all of that in a short period of time, to have the XXXs and the Tiger Taste and the Dolphs and the Mozzis and King Von and, you know, all of these guys, it's been incredible.
It's been crazy, too, to think about, like, how Empire's growing all based off music, you know? And that's how labels used to grow before they got, like, you know, integrated with, like, the movie studios. Like, there's not an Empire Movies that's funding... You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of people don't know about the entertainment industry is like the music industry, the music labels are being funded by fucking Fast and the Furious.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And catalog that's like 50 years old.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's no, you know, like Motown catalog that's funding what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Like it literally whenever, you know, I don't know if it was 2011, 12, whenever Empire was started, from that point forward is you know, no investors, nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's all funded from credit cards from him. You know what I'm saying?
And Section 80. Right?
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, like to be able to do that without having that huge dated Beatles or Michael Jackson. Or Justin Bieber, you know, all of these, like, multi-millionaire catalogs that are, like, dormant. They're just
generating money,
You know what I mean? Like it's just been incredible, and to see like during COVID, I'll never forget. You know when it hit. Like I was used to working home, like or working in the streets. That was normal to me. But at the time when everything shut down, and everything changed, everybody was scared for their jobs. Ghazi doubles up. He goes from however many we were at to like 200. He's giving people jobs and opportunities, and he's when everyone else is slowing down, he's full throttle
Speeding
ahead
up.
to be able to do and go global.
Yeah, he
like,
saw it as an opportunity.
Yeah, and to be able to like do what you know we're doing in Nigeria and you know Europe and Japan, all over the world has been like he did that himself. There was no like, hey, let me call someone and partner.
Yeah,
it was like, hey, Nima, like let's just go to Africa.
Wow.
Like let's go to Europe and figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. Same thing he did here, like to Detroit.
And that's genius because they have roots over there. So it's like, you know, a little more comfortable. But like, I mean, prior to that, I don't know of any knowledge of having even any business out there. It's like all built here and then going back, you know, to like their roots and stuff. Because isn't Nima from Germany originally?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ghazi's from... Where?
I mean, he was obviously
born here. Yeah, his family's from back there.
Yeah.
Back to the day that you were in an A&R meeting and you said Rosecrans Vic, and I'll never forget this call. I'm driving. I don't know. I'm going like to pick up my son or something, and then you were like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" I hadn't heard from you in like a little minute, you know, whatever, and I'm like, "Oh, what's up, bro?" You know. Always calling me with an opportunity to interview somebody or something cool, right? So I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, bro, you don't rap, right? And I was like, I'm like, no. And you're like, I didn't think so, bro. Like, I know we just talked a little while ago. I don't know if you just started rapping. He's like, but basically, like, Nima, my boss, he told me to sign you. So, like, what's up? Like,
bro, yes.
And I remember just being like, let's do it. Like I don't know either, but we're gonna figure it out. Yeah.
It was the craziest thing because at the time it was like Rucci made sense.
Yeah.
Like Kalen, One Take, like obviously Shoreline was signed at the time, the others weren't, but like everybody was going up, so those names made sense to pursue.
Yeah.
And then you were going crazy with what you were doing, but like I would have never thought in a million years to be like, let's give you a deal. That was Nima.
Yeah.
And but like it was tight to be able to give the homie a deal. Like I think you were the second deal. So Rucci was the first artist I signed.
Wow.
And then I think you were the second deal that I did.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. That
Trip,
I
yeah,
had
that
no idea.
Yeah, that tripped me out because I
Yeah.
remember being in the meeting and in front of like, and I don't really talk much when there's 30, 40 people in a room. So
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna like be like, are you sure? Like,
Yeah.
you are Rosecrans Vic?
Yeah.
He was like, go get Vic. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So let's go do it.
And that was funny because at that time in my life, I was I was working at Wells Fargo up until January, and I got fired.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to live this double life of like being in the music industry and working a regular job, and that shit was tough. I was waking up late, being out of studio sessions, being out of listening parties, waking up late, getting to work late. They're like, bro, you can't be late now one more time or else we're gonna fire you. And they ended up firing me at the top of the year, and I was like, damn. Fuck it, like I'm here, like I'm not gonna look for a job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna thug it out. I'm gonna figure shit out. So that was January. Fast forward to maybe March when you call me, around there, like, and I'm like 2 months in, I'm on unemployment, and I had like some money saved, so I'm like, all right, it's going pretty good, like shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that really made me like know that like, nah, like I'm here for a reason. I'm just thinking like, damn, 2 months ago I was working a regular job. Now I'm a journalist getting signed as an artist. You know what I'm saying? That blew my mind, but that also just showed me like I'm legitimately, if there was ever any doubts before, like I'm legitimately in the music business. I'm doing business in music. And so that was like a huge stepping stone for me. And then also like just kind of set me apart completely from like any of my peers, which I was like, that's dope, because like nobody else is getting a deal. No one else is getting this opportunity, being trusted with, getting all these artists on a project and putting out a compilation and just, learning so much. You just learn so much from being, the artist, having to put, the whole album together, A to Z, scheduling sessions and all that shit. Like, that's just tough, man. It's fucking tough.
Mixing, clearing records,
that whole
records,
shit,
artists.
two weeks before you got to pay for a beat out of pocket because they fucking slow played you and they knew you had the record the whole time, and then all of a sudden you got to push the album back 2 weeks,
bro. Yeah, pitching it all. Lead time, nah, for sure, bro. I mean, being at Empire taught me all that.
Yeah,
like I knew. Like, Ghazi and I talked about this not too long ago, too, was when we had our conversation for him to hire me.
Yeah.
He had a piece of paper, and he drew, like, a half of a circle. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you only know this. And then he was like, well, by the time I'm done, you'll know this. And he completed the circle. So this was 5 years ago. And then recently, when we struck our deal with 310, he was like, the circle's complete.
Wow.
And now But it was because of him and Nima and Peter and Tina and everybody else that's up there.
That's fire. So you signed Rucci.
Yeah, my first artist I signed.
And Taco Sun goes crazy. Like the documentaries around it, just everything about it, it felt like a real proper debut.
Yeah.
It was very well received. He became solidified too because he was buzzing for a long time, but it was like, all right, he has a project, that people are gonna go back to, and they're invested in the story. And who do you sign after that?
It was Rucci. There was a ton of people I pursued.
Yeah.
That we didn't sign. Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty, yeah.
He was in there.
Yeah.
I believe like Yellow Hill.
Oh yeah, Yellow
Big
Hill.
Sad.
Yep.
So RJ was there right before me, but I worked RJ. Stupid Young was there right before me, but I worked Stupid Young.
Yeah.
Because I was doing both like A&R and marketing.
Yeah.
But like that next moment was D-Smoke.
D-Smoke, right? So it leads up to D-Smoke, and then you just start to look at your career, and you're just like, is this guy the Inglewood Whisperer or something? Like, what is it?
Nah, I was telling 310 the other day with all his friends. I'm like, bro, I'm really like the mayor.
You are
Inglewood.
What is up with
Skeme,
your
D-Smoke, Frosty the Snowman, 310Babii, Rucci. There was a time me and Lil Deuce were talking when he was with Mac and Co. Like 211, that's my partner.
211.
You know
what is it about Inglewood?
I want to
artists?
sign Ackright if he ever wants to drop
If he ever wants to rap,
Ackright, if you ever want to rap, man, holla at me. I'll be in his DMs too. Like, bro, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, I think Ackright is incredible.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't know why though. I really don't know why Inglewood.
Yeah.
Like, truthfully, it wasn't planned that way.
Yeah. It just keeps happening.
It just keeps happening. And like, bro, those are just, aside from being great artists, they're just great guys too.
Yeah.
Like Rucci is like, Bro, he has like the biggest heart in the world.
Yeah.
Like, working that project, probably one of the most, for my anniversary, I was going to do like a my top 10 moments at Empire post. And he's definitely up there creating that documentary. First time him seeing his dad in years.
Yeah.
Like,
that was like history. Like, that shit was crazy.
Bro, that was like, and to be there when they hugged.
Yeah.
And then to see what he did, like, so to me, without getting too far into it, I get to see what rappers do with their finances too.
Yeah.
And to see like the first thing him do, like buy his dad a crib, buy his mom a crib, get his family straight, get his homies straight before he ever bought a chain.
Wow.
And stuff like that. Before he had he Uber. I don't know if he still Ubers, but he was like the Uber king for the longest. I'm like, bro, it's like so deserving of all the success that he has and that's coming his way. But even with D Smoke, bro, he's an amazing person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these are like great humans, you know what I mean, that I had a chance to work with.
Yeah. And with D Smoke, that's when I see it's like you've been doing all this like rap shit, and it's been like in the streets, like, oh man, that's fire. Like, you got one. You have moments within hip hop, but then the D Smoke stuff kind of goes mainstream.
Yeah.
That's when I see you on like major shit. Were you on Good Morning America or well,
we did everything.
Yeah, so
I mean,
it's like,
literally, we did Late Night.
That's
did
what I'm saying.
Good Morning America.
All the mainstream shit that I'm
Billboard,
like, Gentry's art's on TV, like TV, like not YouTube,
like the TV your mom and grandma watch.
Yeah,
bro,
like we could tune in and watch, and he's probably like somewhere in the background. Like, talk to me about that.
So I have to give Salas and DJ Head credit.
Yeah.
Because I was going to Atlanta for A3C.
Okay.
Actually, to go watch Blast and Jason Cash perform.
Okay.
This is before both of them were signed.
Yeah.
And while I was headed out there, Salas casually hit me. Yo, if you're gonna be out there, Head just did this thing with Netflix. You should go like check the premiere. And it wasn't the full thing, so you didn't know who the winners was. It was literally like a piece of the first one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, for sure, I'll go support Head. So I went down there by myself. I went to this college, watched it. And kind of how I felt the same way about 310, like right before, was like kind of how I was feeling at the time because Snow had just got locked up. Right? And like Rucci had just dropped his project, and I think Young had just dropped, RJ had just dropped. Like, everyone had just dropped.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, what's
next?
Yeah. And I'll never forget seeing D Smoke for the first time and being like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he won. I didn't know anything. He could have been the loser. I still would have wanted to go partner with him. And I remember calling Salas the minute I left. I was like, yo, connect me with them. Like, and I even asked him, I'm like, he won, right? And he was like, I can't tell you, but you got a pretty good ear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, and he ended up connecting me with Greg Johnson. Shout out my boy Greg.
Yeah.
His family. And then, from there, it was like, it was a real privilege to be given the opportunity to do Black Habits, Worn Wonders, everything that we did. Because, again, at the time, I'm talking to them when it was early before the winner gets announced. But once they announced him as the winner, it was like the hottest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
that show went so, I can't believe, well, I think they're shooting season 2 now finally, right?
Yeah, they were going to do it. It stopped because of COVID.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing because I remember that being, and me being a huge rap fan, I don't know why. I just, and shout out to Head, he was on it. It just didn't align with, like, I was just working too much. I never even watched the show, but I knew it was huge because it for some reason, like, infiltrated mainstream America, like, at the time, and it got huge, like, everywhere, across the world.
Looking
so people
at his
knew him.
Analytics was, like, crazy.
Yeah.
And then I remember going into the office and pitching Bia. She had just got released. Blast. This was before he was a Red Bull, and Smoke in the same meeting. Yeah. And I remember coming back and just talking to everybody at Empire, like, Khaled just posted him. Dr. Dre just posted him. I'm like, he's posting this, label me. I'm like, yo, like, this guy is gonna win a Grammy. I said that. Like, I said that in a meeting with a few of the executives at Empire, and I'll never forget. Like, at that moment, I didn't know if we would get the deal or not. Yeah. And D Smoke had a conversation. Speaking of him being international, he was in Japan. Wow. In between Christmas and New Year's. with DJ Head. They had a convo. Head had shared some things about me with him, and Smoke texted me this like not a meme but like a quote, and was like the people that are crazy enough to think they'll change the world will actually do it. And then he hit me and was like, let's do the deal.
Wow.
So to give credit to Empire compared to other places, as you know, the music industry, like after Thanksgiving, like forget about it. Like
Peace
executives
out.
are like on beaches and
Yeah.
like, bro, we did that deal in between Christmas and New Year's, bro.
Wow.
Like
No
everybody
business gets
rallied up.
done.
No business, bro.
Did you guys have to write the contract yourselves?
I
I know lawyers not texting back.
No, the lawyers did. Shout out to Mike Vegas.
Oh, okay,
like,
shout out Mike.
Yeah, Gazi, Nima, Tina, Peter, everybody involved.
Everybody was on board.
Everybody was on board, bro. Like New Year's, I'm calling everybody. Like, I remember calling Stacy. I'm like, yo, this is a priority. We need to do this,
on
and
New
this.
Year's.
She's like, Gentry's not even signed. I'm like, no, trust me. Like,
yo, if this was the fucking 2000s, they would have fucking slapped the phone on you, like closed it, like, bro, call me back later.
I never forget, bro. And then like that, even that first week, cause Smoke wanted to release his first single like a week or two into the new year. Like he didn't want to wait. Like
he didn't
Black
want to wait at
Habits
all.
was set to come out top of February for Black History Month.
Yeah.
So he's like, bro, this is coming out.
And
like, yeah, it's coming out.
And you
like,
just pitched them on, man, at Empire. We can do whatever we want, man.
Yeah. I'll give him the whole pitch, the same pitch I gave you. Like, bro, we could move fast. Like, we could do anything. Like, you give me a record today, I'm putting it out. Like, bro.
So now you got to come
Meanwhile,
true on
I'm
it.
like sweating because it's like New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I never forget either. Like, we did the meeting. And the day actually before the meeting, he gets called to New York to do a session with Anderson .Paak.
Wow.
And everybody in the office is like, bro, he's not coming. He's not like he's in New York, like working with Anderson. Like he's gonna miss his flight. He's not coming.
Yeah.
And I was sweating. And sure enough, he pulled up. Him, Greg, Shanks, they pulled up. We had a conversation. Speaking of how, like, you know, they're speaking to their character.
Yeah.
A story no one else knows either is that, shout out to Nemo, he's gonna laugh. We're in the conference room, and this is like just a advice to anybody that's, you know, trying to sign an artist. You shouldn't put them on your social media too. They sign. So we're in the conference room, and the deal's like done, like on a handshake.
Yeah.
But like they're still redlining like very, 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 very like
it's a process.
Small things.
Yeah, it's like we agree in principle. We just gotta like just take this out and then we'll put it on.
Yeah. And bro, we're talking about the rollout, when to put the record out. We're making calls because the deal's like done. Nima like posts D-Smoke Empire on his story.
Yeah.
Smoke wants to stay. He wants to go to the studio down the street. So we hop in the truck. We go to the studio. RJ's in there. I introduce Smoke and RJ.
Yeah.
They start cutting a record. Smoke is in the booth. His phone is in the control room. Nima's blowing me up. Nima calls me. He was like, bro, I posted D-Smoke. I shouldn't have done it. A label came and like, is basically trying to undercut us, give them more, this, that, blah, blah, blah.
Shit.
And he was like, you got to talk to him. Like, I owe you. Matter of fact, Nima still owes me those 2 shots. He was like, I'll buy you a shot. And I'm like, 2 shots. And I remember, bro, like going into the studio and like this really sums up like mine and Smoke's relationship is like just honesty, bro.
Yeah.
And like I remember walking in and being like, so this was happening. And like, because he like checking his phone too. His phone was doing backflips. He's like, what's going on?
He's like, why is they keep?
And I'm like, this was going on. Like, call Greg back, call your attorney, call these people back.
Yeah.
But this is what's gonna happen. And he was like, well, we already gave you our word. We're gonna do the deal. Like, why are you worried?
Yeah.
And that was it. And from then, we always rocked like that.
You didn't have to worry no more.
Yeah, there was no like, all right, now we're gonna dip because someone gave us another $1.
Yeah.
It was like we are, you know. And then from there, it was amazing. Like you said, it was like late night, you know, Good Morning America, performing at the BET Awards during COVID. Like, you know, he got nominated for Best New Artist, Best Rap Album, the first time that was ever done in history at Empire.
Yeah.
You know, he got nominated for 2 Grammys, and it was a run. And he did all that during COVID.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And to think, like, if COVID didn't hit and they got a chance to see him perform live during that wave, like, he's just an incredible performer and artist. But yeah, that was like definitely like a time I'll never forget.
Yeah, no, I remember going to his listening party, and just I didn't know I was like standing next to his dad, and just so much love in like family in the building. And then, because obviously he's older, he was a Spanish teacher, and to just see like him living out his dreams, and then like just a grown man executing, like he knows exactly what he's doing. Like
Yeah.
it was just very much like he's in control of the situation. A lot of times with younger artists, they're just kind of along for the ride, and you could tell how calculated he was. And he's like, man, I'm really good at this. Like, I just
Bro,
needed
his
a
whole
shot.
family.
Yeah.
His mom.
Sir.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sir
His mom was singing,
Jackie,
I think. Yeah.
yeah. Like Sir, Davion,
Yeah.
him,
Yeah.
his cousins, like
Yeah.
Tiff, like, bro, that whole family is platinum, gold, Grammy
Yeah.
nominated, Grammy winning.
I remember some like there was like a roll call in there, like shout out to so and so in there. I'm just like, these are like names I've heard before. Like,
bro, they need to do the album, the brothers,
Yes.
Dave, Sir, Smoke.
Sir's about to drop his album, I think.
Yeah,
So
we need the album,
After
man.
that, yeah,
We need the album.
That'll be fire. All right, so it's all the success, mainstream success with D Smoke, and then it's coming out of COVID, and then there's like kind of a little bit of a gap in between that and 310Babii. What happened there? Who you working on? Were you just behind the scenes? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, a lot of behind the scenes. I mean, Rucci was still doing numbers.
Yeah.
A lot of people. It's like so interesting, bro, because I try not to waste my time having these conversations of like who people think is big.
Yeah.
Who's actually like
streaming,
doing numbers. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Because it's just like I'd rather just look at black and white, but like Rucci was still doing numbers. Like
Yep.
RJ was still doing his thing.
Yeah, RJ had a resurgence.
He was, bro. He was on tour with Thug. You know what I mean? Snoop.
Yeah.
I mean, he was going up. Stupid Young, the first Cambodian to have a gold record.
Yeah.
He was doing his thing. Yellow Hill was going up. Sad was going up locally, like culturally. That's always been like a big thing of mine is with these acts is even though sometimes I may not have the, Grammy nominated or multi-platinum at the time, it's like if you could do what you love and still make a living, then you won.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like that's always been my thing is like we don't need to swing for the fence and put you $2 million in the red that you're never gonna make that money back.
Yeah.
Let's just try to make you like cash positive.
Yeah.
Where you could make money off music, shows, merch, publishing. And I mean, if you could make $250,000, $500,000 a year without having a hit, when that hit comes, then it's like now you're Dolph, Mozzie, Tiger, you some of these guys that have catalog with hits.
With hits, yeah.
Right? So I was doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
As well as like a lot of like growing internally within the company to like help departments and be inward facing. You know what I mean? So like restructuring that, D Smoke put out Warren Wonders.
Yeah.
So he put out his second project. So doing a lot of that stuff in between, I would say, what was that, like 21, 22-ish?
Yeah.
And then, yes, similar, I mean, I said this before, but similar to how I felt around the like Skeme, similar to how I felt around D Smoke, was I started having those same feelings. But before that, we got to touch on Perico.
Yeah.
Like
Perico's resurgence.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'll never like, bro, for the life of me, and like it's not like no shots or nothing like that.
Of course, yeah.
But for the life of me, I don't understand how like you have Kalen and Perico at your label on the biggest record, LA his scene.
Yeah.
And you're not going all in, double down on both of them artists.
Yeah.
Like, and that was frustrating because, so like, probably, so like Smoke was what, like 20, so like COVID was 2020, right?
Yeah, 2020.
Okay, cool. So I've always known Perico from since he first came up. Like him and AD and Problem and Pun and all that, right? So I've known them. And then when he got signed and Kalen got signed and they were at the same place, I was like, and they had Right With It.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was organic. It wasn't even on some like, oh, we're a label, let's put these two artists together, make a hit. It was like literally they were in the studio, they had some hot shit, they all got on the record, and it just started to blow up.
And to see that, And to like hear that record, like
Yeah.
similar to how when you hear Soak City, or like when you heard Right With It at that moment, it was like no other record could compete with what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, oh, like I love, even when other artists were at like, you know, when Shoreline was going up and One Take and Kalen and Perico and, you know, Roddy, Blueface, everybody was at different labels. I cheer that on because it just helps our culture, our coast.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was rooting for them to go up. Even at the time, I was trying to sign Kalen before he did his deal.
Yeah.
And we've been close ever since that. But when G went cold during that time, and he had to sit down, I remember being like, yo, the culture needs him. LA just needs G Perico. And then obviously with Nip being murdered, it was like this like black cloud over LA in terms of
a long
like
time
what he represented.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because obviously you know this, I'm sure we've all said this before, but like the world caught on to him after he passed.
Yeah.
We to us, he was like our Superman. Like
already.
We knew all the tapes. We were at the shows. Like we were looking out for the features. Like we all wanted him to win. But everybody lives in different places. Like he's in a different place than YG, then Blueface, then Roddy, then Rucci, then Kalen. They all have different things of what they bring to the table. And Nip's motivation and his authenticity and like what he represented when he passed, there was a void with that. And in my opinion, although Nip and Perico, respectively, their own artists or their own people, definitely not comparing them, G was the only artist that could feel that in terms of like the real, authentic, you know, entrepreneur, motivator, didn't care about hits. He was flooding with tapes and his merch blue, similar to like how he had Crenshaw. Like, and I had been in G's ear for like a year. Like, no lie, no exaggeration. He'll tell you when you talk to him, we spoke every single day. 2020. No. 2020. We spoke because then we had the 21 Flood. So every single day, 2020, him and I spoke, and I'm trying to convince him to leave. Yeah. I'm like, bro, I'll do whatever. I'll pay whatever. I'll do whatever. And his whole thing was like, one more record, one more chant, one more conversation. You know what I mean?
And because you get over there and you know, it's like, you know, the biggest rapper of all time is, you know, spearheading the label. So you're like, man, I'm at the right place, right? You know, and you would think, you know, and it's no shade to them at all, but like they haven't figured out West Coast artistry yet, you know. And if you really just kind of sit there and think like, well, what have they done on the label side? Like in comparison to their own management success, it's like you can't really see anything that's been remarkable yet, you know?
So we're talking every day. Me and him are hanging out, we're talking, but he won't leave. Yeah. And then end of 2020, he made up his mind to do what he wanted to do. And we had a conversation, and he was just like, if I come over there, I want to be able to do what I want to do. Yeah. I'm like, what do you want to do? And he was like, Flood. Yeah. All right, let's go. That's when we created the 21 Flood. Yeah. And that's when you've seen like that rebirth. And like he really feels that like void in LA of like that brand. Like
independent LA artist, and is totally moving at their own pace.
Self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn near doesn't need nobody for nothing. You know what I mean? Like does his own thing. Like, and bro, I mean, we dropped like 10 projects. 21, like sold out tours, millions in blue. Like, I mean, that was just like another like real moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was like, it was that, and then we did, you know, the Hot Shot Gangsta Grills, which was like a full circle moment with me and Drama and Lake and everybody.
Talk to me about that, because because Skeme was around the Generation Now movement at the beginning of it when Jack Harlow was a baby and
he was their first artist.
He was, right?
Yeah.
Skeme was their first artist, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So for you to be like, you know, around during that time and involved in everything, and then I remember seeing like, you know, the Hot Shot stuff, and then thinking like, wait, something tells me like Drama and Gentry have like some sort of history together. And then I thought about it and I'm like, oh yeah, the Skeme days. So just tell me about that, how you kind of like developed that relationship.
So Lake and I have a relationship.
Okay. He's behind the scenes, Lake
But
Sheezy, right? Yeah,
yeah,
a lot of
which
people
like
don't know.
we should for sure talk about Generation Now.
Yeah.
But about G and Hotshot, that happened because Lake and G had a relationship. So that was conversations that they were having without me, where it was just like, yo, let's do a tape. Okay, let's do a tape. Back and forth. If anybody knows Perico, it's like, y'all got to have like 18 conversations before it actually happens. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm still waiting for a record back.
so it's like, you know, LA Summers was actually supposed to be Gangsta Grills.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it got to the point where it was like, yo, let's do it. And then I started talking to Lake. Me and him had a cool convo. And then it just like organically happened. We went down to Atlanta with Drum. We put it together and we came back, and it was like, while we were doing our run with Hot Shot, Drum was doing his run with his album.
Yeah.
So we were in a lot of the same rooms and moving and shaking and doing a lot of the same things, which was super dope. But like, to me, that was always my dream with G, was to be able to get him to that place of like, you know, being self-sufficient and independent and not needing like the hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like being able to go up off catalog and off culture and off clothes. Like, that's the most amazing, gratifying thing, to see him sell out tours and sell out the Novo. Doing all that stuff without a hit. It just proves like everybody that thinks you need a hit record, you don't. You need an authentic core audience to be able to support your movement and what you're doing.
I totally feel like Perico and Rucci as well, they've kind of laid, and you know, with the help of you, laid a foundation for artists to just be independent and still be on some fly boss shit in LA. Like you said, not necessarily needing a hit. It's like a lot of people look at, man, I'm just gonna flood like G Perico. Like I've heard artists say that before. Out of their
we
mouth.
like for sure created that blueprint.
Yeah, and it's a whole new blueprint that people are just like, bro, let's just drop as much music as we can, but also quality. Let's come with different concepts. This is not just gonna be album number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like, no, like the way you guys had switched it up, where it was like Loverboy Slim, LA Summers,
Welcome
you know
to
what I'm
the
saying?
land.
Welcome to the Land. It was like
Free,
all
Play to Win,
different type of concepts. So you're
different
like,
producers,
I'm not getting the same shit over and over, you know? And it's like taking risks too, because, you know, it's like Loverboy Slim, we haven't really heard G on some shit like that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like coming with the concepts of it, and like he just wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
I'm like, just leave us alone, Perico, damn. Like,
no, but
enough.
The crazy thing is, bro, to people, like to artists, if they're listening, is like, you have to continue to put out music, because, I mean, arguably his biggest record to date was the first song we ever put out together, which was Keep Killing with Rucci.
Yeah.
And like that was
that
just
song goes up.
out, you know what I mean? Like that song, if my memory serves me correctly, still isn't on a project.
It's just a single. It's just a Lucy.
We just put it out because we were building towards a project called Free. You know what I mean? So like you said, like, like maybe, you know, Free or Loverboy Slim, you know, those projects didn't get streamed as much as like Welcome to the Land, LA Summers, Tango, but it all contributes to your bottom line and your brand. And like them fans know them projects for sure.
No, absolutely. And you can see that they're doing well, because, you know, you see the, you know, the Corvettes and the, you know, the shit that Perico's buying, and, you know, houses,
mansions,
and all. Exactly.
And all that. He going up for sure.
No, absolutely. So it really sets that blueprint, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Gangsta Grills, but before we get out of here, I'm sorry, the DJ Drama and Generation Now. Just tell me about that.
Bro, like, I feel like Generation Now does not get their flowers and like their respect. And I mean, obviously now you see them more in like articles and things of that nature. Cool. But bro, like Lake, Cannon, and Drum are arguably some of the best to ever do it.
Absolutely.
The hardest thing in this game to do is to stay consistent and stay relevant to the culture, and to be able to do everything Drum was doing early on with the tapes. Yeah. Like Wayne, T.I., Jeezy.
Yeah. Creating that history then.
Then, 20 years ago, what Cannon was doing with the production, and then him going over to Def Jam, and what Drum was doing at Atlantic. And people don't know a lot of like the behind the scenes Drum was doing with artists like Nip. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Drum, Quiet as Kept was like jump starting a lot of stuff over there. Right? So to see what they were doing, like I said, the tapes, that, and then to come for like now you got like Uzi and Harlow, which are like the two biggest artists in the world,
Yeah.
and then right when you're just like, okay, cool, can they do it? Now you got Lil Tyler, and then they got other new act, like they're cooking, like,
Yeah.
bro, those guys they're definitely part of like my top 5
Oh, yeah.
executives in the game, and they're still like down to earth and not Hollywood. Like
Yeah.
you'll see Lake post a random problem freestyle because that's his man.
that's-
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Or like
That's what he's on at the
yeah,
moment.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or like Cannon, supporting the culture, drama. Like Cannon was a part of the Jack Harlow record with Sean.
Yeah.
Producing on that. So to have that run, bro, is like unheard of.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just have like a world of respect for those guys. Like
Yeah.
every time we get a chance to talk, to me it's a privilege. It's a blessing because it's like, they're just so cool.
Yeah.
Like you would never imagine that they are who they are, but then they're dropping gems or they're sharing their experiences of
Yeah.
the what to do or what not to do.
And that reinvention, is always fascinating to me. Like, and not being like a victim of your own success, because I know that becomes a real thing. It's like, I'm sure even with your career, it's like you have a number one, and then it's like, okay, what now? Where do we go from here? Like, and for them to like obviously be the biggest thing in the world with the Gangsta Grill mixtapes, kind of just invent that whole wave. That shit died down. They go to jail. Then starting over again, doing some shit at Atlantic, then doing like the Generation Now stuff, then keeping an artist. Like they keep an artist.
And let's not forget won a Grammy with Tyler.
Yes, that shit. And
like
that's
you
like,
won a Grammy for a Gangsta Grill.
Off a Gangsta
mixtape.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, bro. It's like when I think of my top like execs in the game that have like curated this culture and you know what I mean, their contributions to hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and still staying like relevant and grounded and like, you know what I mean, will give you a helping hand if you need it. Like there's not many like them.
Nah.
And maybe they're not placed in the same convo of like, a Leroy Cohen or Russell Simmons or Jimmy Iovine, but they're just as important.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? If not more.
Contributions, and they're still current.
Bro. Yeah, like who knows what they're gonna do the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like to see what they're doing is incredible. You know what I mean? Like I have a tremendous amount of respect for all of those guys. And, shout out to Royce and TC and Willie Joe, like the other guys that are with them at GN is dope to see. Like every time bro, I'm working on a project, I'm always the first to be like, we got to go to Atlanta, go to Mean Streets. Like even with 310, like we're going at the end of this month to Mean Streets to cook up the second album. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, there's just that energy and that creativity that's there. That's just something special that you don't get here.
Yeah. Nah, most definitely. Well, shit, bro. I think we ran through everything pretty much. Appreciate you coming on the show. I was super excited about this. Kind of just, getting all this shit. Like, we have so much history, and then just explaining your history. Because people don't know, like, this is the motherfucking ear to the streets for so long. You know what I'm saying? You deserve your flowers. All the shit, all the work you put in. In front of the, scenes, behind the scenes that people still don't, even after the conversation, you still kept some things you just don't even speak about, but you know what I'm saying? It's like people got to know. But again, appreciate you for pulling up, bro.
Thank you,
It's always love.
Love.
Rosecrans Vic podcast, Jentry Salvatore.
Yes, sir.
We out.